So this past week, the creator of Minecraft, his name's Notch, stepped in a bit of I don't know what to call it. He stepped in a little bit of drama. He got drama on his shoes.
Oh, you really stepped in it, nice.
Wow, that was weird. I don't know why I went with that accent and that drop was in that accent. That's weird.
Well, I already used that drop already, so
maybe it was subliminal. Maybe it was subliminal. I don't know. But
idiot.
Marcus Person, who is known as Notch, had some thoughts about the term mansplaining. So,
it's such an awesome word.
Well, I'm assuming that everyone knows what mansplaining is.
Well, mansplain it for me.
Well, okay, for all the women in the chat room, I'll go ahead and I'll explain mansplaining. What mansplaining is where a man comes in and talks down to a woman because she's a woman and already, comes into it with the assumption that she doesn't know what she's talking about. And so
because she's a woman,
needlessly and over explains things to
Now, this is different from manscaping, right?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
It's very different from manscaping because manscaping involves pubic hair.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And I always thought mansplaining was also about like a man trying to explain a woman's issue to a woman.
That is that is also somewhat true. I'm sure that I mean it's kind of a colloquial term that's popped up in the last 4 or 5 years.
Days.
To sort of like describe this, but I'm sure that it's applied in that way as well. But the initial tweet that Notch had responded to was from let's see, at Gohami. Okay.
It's French.
Who the original tweet was, let me make one thing perfectly clear. Mansplaining is a funny but actually quite problematic and real issue. It silences women. Which, I got no problem with that tweet. I think that that's probably pretty true. So Notch stepped in at that point and disagreed and said, no, mansplaining is a sexist term designed to silence men via gender shaming. So this is the first point that made people go off the rails. And
I think it makes sense.
I think that it kind of does because while I'm not going to sit here and deny that mansplaining doesn't exist because I've seen it, I've watched it happen, and it is fucking obnoxious. At the same time, it is inherently a gendered term designed to be aimed at one gender, not the other. And, I think gender...
Because women don't do that shit.
I think gender...
Whoa! Holy shit!
Okay, I can't say it.
Easy mode.
What?
And
Nika.
See, I was worried about this episode being 3 guys like yelling at one chick, and then she goes and puts a target on her. Like, oh, Nika, please don't do this. I actually wanted to be on your side for this discussion.
No, obviously, not all men and not all women are the same. So I'm not gonna generalize. But
look,
that was a joke.
But it is clearly a gendered term. He is right about that. I think going as far as to say it gender shames, I'm not sure that I would agree with that. But I think clearly he feels some certain way about this, and so I think that there's kind of a point there. So. The next response, this is where things really kind of got out of hand. Maniac Zombie responds, LOL at the irony of this guy mansplaining what mansplaining is. Sit down and shut up.
Trash can emoji.
Yeah.
Don't forget that.
To which Mark...
Oh, this is the best. I'm sorry.
Marcus replied, stop confusing the issue by dismissing my words with a derogatory term about my gender.
Get her done.
Wow. Which I think... the reason that this caught my attention is because I think... confusing might be one of the funniest terms I've ever heard. It really is. That's a solid fucking joke right there. Like it is in one word is a great joke responding to the idea of mansplaining. So of course everyone decided to react after that.
Oh, of course.
Good reason. Like, okay, I will admit it's a clever wordplay. However, there's a very big difference with the word mansplaining. Just literally says the word man. And apparently that's gender degrading, where he actually takes a word that's historically for centuries been degrading towards women and then uses that as the counter to mansplaining is the problem here.
Well, but in both of those examples, right? Like the word works with the run-in. Like you're taking two words and you're sort of mashing them together. And if you tried to make it politically correct, it doesn't, like, vagina fusing doesn't exactly work because that sounds like you're taking two vaginas and fusing them together. Okay,
which is a whole different thing.
That's a different thing. There's a whole portion of the internet for that, I think.
Plus, I don't think it's fair, no matter what way you look at it, to say, all right, well, because obviously it's the intent that's it's offensive,
it's
right?
the exact same reason that on the side of mansplaining, it's not called male-splaining because it just doesn't roll off the tongue as well.
Well, I also think that it's the intent behind it, right? That determines how offensive it is. Imagine if I would have done a tweet where I was like, "Oh, I was out with a girl tonight, totally thought I was going to get something, but apparently apparently I got confused, right? Because I was around her, I knew what I want, and I just was zeroing in on one thing." Totally missed it. I got confused, right? Like, would that be as offensive as what this is?
See, I'm going to have
yes
to
or
disagree in certain aspects of what you're saying. The intent behind it is not always what determines what's offensive. Like if you, and I mean, I'm not going to speak obviously for African Americans, but if you are not of that race or of that gender or of that whatever, you cannot tell someone what to be offended by. So there are so many people.
I'm not saying don't be offended by it, but you like, also can't decide, oh, well, that's more offensive than this is.
Right.
Because this historic piece, this historic thingamabobber.
Absolutely.
But it's just the fact that the word cunt has been deemed by so many encyclopedias and by so many people and linguists saying that it is one of the most offensive words in the English language. You do not use it. It does not refer to a vagina. It's a derogatory word to a woman, and you do not say it. And so it's not just that, it's a clever pun, but it's something that when you're, I'm sorry, if you're going to be so public with something like that, you deserve all the freaking shame you're going to get for it.
See, this is where I disagree. Now, first of all, Notch is from Britain, and in the UK and in Europe,
you can be as rude as you want.
No. The specific connotations around cunt is a bit more. The use of it is way more liberal.
I looked up the history of this word before we even started the show because I wanted to know my knowledge about this. There is history and there is examples of it used in history where it wasn't offensive, and it said by Shakespeare's time it was definitely deemed offensive because Shakespeare used wordplay to kind of make it sound like they were saying that word, but not
but
saying
so what though?
Offensive.
So what?
So what I'm saying is,
so what if it's
England,
offensive though?
But what I'm saying is he is from a country that where it is clearly offensive. So it's not that he can just claim he's not American. He didn't know. Oh, bull fucking shit.
I think that matters,
I think it does. I think it does make it different, and I think the cultural norms surrounding the word they're very different in the UK than they are here. Way different, and that's just. That's a fact. But the thing is that, like, so what if you're offended? So what if anyone is offended by the use of the word cunt? Because it's just a word. It's the context that makes something either offensive or dangerous. And I think that is true of every fucking word. It doesn't matter if it's cunt or nigger or any other word. It's the context that makes something dangerous or makes something offensive.
I don't think so. I really don't think so. Like,
well,
there are
right
some
now,
words that you just, I don't know, that they're so ingrained in history and about the horrible, way your race, your history, your gender has been treated, that there are some words that just should should not
Some words
exist.
that we should just completely forget so that way no one remembers that history. It's completely locked away and we repeat it all over again.
So you're just going to throw it around willy-nilly because you want people to remember the history?
Well,
No, but it works for the joke. It works in the context of the fucking joke, and it works in the context of the wordplay. Again, look, nigger is not a word that I like to use. It's not a word that I use in polite society or even in regular fucking conversations. But in conversations about race, when I'm talking with someone about race, okay, as I feel as offended by the term the N-word as someone using the term nigger wholeheartedly. Okay?
I actually feel more awkward saying the N-word than I do saying it.
Yeah, exactly. Here's the thing, though, is that there are proper contexts for these things. There are jokes that I've heard that use cunt or faggot or nigger or any of these very offensive terms and make it phenomenally funny. I think that you could, if you talk to a lot of gay people or homosexual, same thing. If you talk to a lot of homosexual people, that they would say, well, faggot is kind of that word for us, but yet Bo Burnham does so many jokes that contain the word faggot, and they're funny, and we all laugh at them, and nobody stops to go, well, why is that okay, but every other application of the word isn't okay? Well, spoiler alert, that means that every application of the word is okay. If you laugh at that joke and you find that if you're willing to give them a pass on it, you're willing to give them a pass based on context. And
I wouldn't give anyone a pass for that word either.
Oh, I absolutely. I always have. I mean, the thing about words is that they're designed to elicit a very specific reaction, and as our language continues to evolve, there was a time in this country where fuck and shit and bitch used to elicit the same amount of offense that these words elicit now, and it was through media exposure, it was through comedians pushing boundaries, it was through
words you can't say on the radio.
George Carlin, all of these factors led to the current environment that we have now. And I think that you would be hard pressed to find anyone who will seriously argue the offensive merits of fuck. It's too funny. We've been shown as a society that it's too valid in too many applications to say, well, we can never say that word, or we can never, use that word in polite society or whatever. Again, I feel like the term the N-word or the F-word, or when you self-censor shit like that, is more offensive, because what that says to the person that you're talking to is that, first of all, you don't have the emotional maturity to hear these words and respond like an adult. And the second thing is it absolves me from having to use shitty language that I don't like. I don't particularly love the word faggot or nigger or cunt, but I will use them when I feel that they're appropriate, if I think that they're going to get a big laugh, or I think that they're going to elicit a specific response from the audience. They're used as tools, just as shit, piss, fuck, cunt, cocksucker, motherfucker, tits, fart, turd, and twat were used in the early 70s and 80s through George Carlin and other comedians, and fucking that's where we got now. There's no difference between the words that we use. It all comes down to the context and the meaning and the intention behind it. Nothing? No? That's it?
I'm completely with you, and I agree behind everything that you say with me. You summed it up pretty well. Something you're obviously very passionate about. But one of the facts remains that this is still three guys bashing our opinion against Nika. Kooky, who I'm sure is on Discord right now, she has her own opinion on it, right? And why don't we bring her in here and have a talk with her as well?
Yeah, I'd be more than happy to talk with Kooky if she wants to pop in here.
What's up?
Hey, what's up, Kooky? How's it going?
Good. How are you?
Good. You want to give your opinion about the confusion tweets?
I actually thought it was hilarious.
Yeah?
I really did thought it was hilarious. I don't find it degrading me or whatever. I really thought Notch put in his humor out there hilariously and in a very good way that not normal people like us can't even do. I thought it was very creative.
I'm not going to deny that the wordplay isn't funny. It definitely is, but I still think it's something that you don't need to publicly tweet about. Like, what's the point?
Nika, is there any other word that you could put in there that would have the same comedic effect?
Do you even have to come up with something like that?
Yeah, well, look, Notch feels that mansplaining is an unfair and gendered term. That's his opinion, right? Like, if you're saying that if that's not something that he needs to express his opinion about, I'm definitely going to disagree with you, because I think anyone should express any opinion that they have, no matter what it is, at any time.
But how can you really say that you don't like gender specific pronouns by countering with one that's even worse towards the other gender? That doesn't prove that you want actual equality or anything. That is showing you're a dickbag.
Because that's
not proving anything.
Because that's the humor in it. That's what's funny, is that
that's not humor. That's just showing that you're an asshole.
No,
you're saying, I don't like that you're using a derogatory term towards my gender. Oh, but here's one towards you instead. That is not what we're going to fix any problem.
I'm sorry.
That's not how this works.
Nika, I'm sorry. If you look at what feminism has been doing and just been trying for the past fucking 10, maybe even 20 years, feminism overall has been taking the culture that we have, twisting it, turning it on its head, and either through analyzing the source material or breaking it down or parroting it. Absolutely, this is the same fucking thing. All Notch is doing is parodying mansplaining and using because I mean,
okay, if this tweet is a parody, okay, then fine, hats off to him. But I do not think this tweet is a parody. When he says dismissing my words, the derogatory term about my gender, is he parodying feminazis, or is he saying that he really believes mansplaining is derogatory to him? If he really believes that, he's an asshole and an idiot. If it's a parody, okay, I take back everything I said.
I believe that is what he believes, is that he thinks that that mansplaining is an inherently gendered term. And I think his point is that, what true feminism is about is the equality between genders, not making women better or superior to men.
Correct.
I think that's a great point. I don't think that he was saying it because he thinks that. I don't think that he, on a personal level, is offended by mansplaining
or feels oppressed by it.
Right? Who the fuck cares? It's a word. Yeah. But what he was doing when he used confusing was he knew that was going to trigger her. So then he could basically be like, look, see, you're being triggered by what I did to you, and it's the same thing. They're different words, and yes, you're right. The word he used does have more history behind it.
It's way more loaded.
And it's way more loaded, but it's still the same thing.
I'm sure you could come up with some kind of
and for the person in the chat
parody that doesn't use the word cunt, and it would be just as equally viable.
I don't think
and for the person in the chat who said it's funny because we have dicks, Kooky, what are you packing?
I am packing a vagina.
Oh, you don't have a dick.
She's got a lady purse.
Oh, but you thought it was funny.
I thought it was hilarious.
Okay, so that person in the chat, fuck you.
Yeah.
Kooky is under dick suspicion now.
That's the thing. I don't think that I don't think you have to be one gender or the other to really find the humor in this. I think that overall, again, it's a very clever play on words, and it gets his point.
I'm not denying that.
It gets his point across. Like he while I don't agree with him, by the way, I just would like to point out that I don't have a problem with the idea or term mansplaining. I
think it's hilarious.
It's not something that I get personally offended by, because again, I've seen it happen. It's not like it's so funny. It's so funny to watch these male feminists, these self-identifying male feminists that will put it in their fucking Twitter bio, and they go, "Well, I've had multiple conversations with women who say that mansplaining is a real problem." Like, first of all,
that's something I was going to mention.
First of all, good for you for going out and actually finding a woman. How did you do that? Where did you find one? I really want to know. I can't find them, so I need to. And of course, I can never ask their opinions correctly because everything that comes out of my mouth sounds like marbles shoved into tube socks. So please tell me your fucking secret about how you talk to the women to get their opinions.
I think the biggest problem that I have with this is why do we always, whenever someone's a dick, because that's what it comes down to, someone being a dick, all right?
Right.
Hold on, in fact, Let's
I
not
feel
use
like
dick.
That's a very
gendered term.
Asshole. All right, when it comes down to someone being an asshole, we always have to look at them. We have to go, what makes them an asshole? It's the fact that they're a fucking asshole. It's not an asshole because he's a man or a woman or white or black. You're an asshole because you're an asshole.
Right.
If you're talking down to a woman because you don't think she understands the subject, it's because you're a fucking asshole.
It's not a gendered thing because
exactly
women can do it to men.
That is the thing that blows my mind. That pisses me off the most. When people try to label a problem based on that, you're just a fucking asshole.
Hang on, wait. Have you guys, the two other guys that are sitting in this room right now, have you guys ever had to take a baby from a woman? You've never been woman-splained to until a woman hands you a baby. And then it's like, clearly you're going to kill this thing.
Oh no, I refuse to touch it. If I can break something and I can't replace it, I don't want anything to do with it.
Okay, the difference here is, can you prove that she would be talking to you any differently than a woman who's never touched a baby before?
Yeah, because she's talking to me like the fucking baby. She's talking to me like the fucking toddler in the room. Like, okay, just make sure that he doesn't put fork in a socket. Okay, all right, yeah, whatever.
Oh, damn, that's exactly what I was going to let him do.
Exactly.
I was going to hand him the fork and everything.
Sure that if
Is
a
it okay if it's a plastic fork?
If a woman was giving her baby to a woman who's never touched a child in their life, I kind of feel like she'd do the same thing. So the difference there is that men would not, like, if you find a man who's never looked at a car before or anything about it, and he talks to a man like he is an equal, and then you look at a woman who's in the same situation and talks down to her.
No, you know what? I just had my car fixed on 2 separate occasions. I tried to help my mom's boyfriend, and guess what? I had no idea what I was doing. And you know what he did? He fucking talked down to me.
Yeah, because you're a woman.
Okay, who says you can't mansplain to another man?
That's the point I'm trying to make, though. Is it doesn't matter if it's a man doing it to a man, a woman doing it to a woman, or vice versa.
It just makes you
or
an
a
asshole.
transgender doing it to someone who's ace. It doesn't fucking matter. You're a fucking asshole.
Yeah.
And you should be shamed as an asshole, not as a man, not as a woman, not as white or black.
You're right. You're absolutely right. I 100% agree with that, what you just said. But I do believe that there are a large chunk of men out there who do talk differently to women because they're women.
Of course.
And they're assholes because
and that's
of it.
where the term comes from.
Of course. And I'm not arguing that. Again, I can't disagree with Notch anymore, but I'll go to the mat defending his use of the word cunt, especially if I think it's funny. I mean, like, if a joke is bad, that's one thing. It's a bad joke. Like, this is a really good joke and a very justifiable use of the term. I mean, look, comedians now, for comedians who want to be edgy now, like, it's got to be harder than ever to find that third rail that makes people go, you know what I mean? Like, in the 90s, 80s, 70s, those rails were very easy to find. And now, I mean, you've got Daniel Tosh hosts one of the most openly offensive TV shows on television, and it's like, how do you be more offensive than Daniel Tosh? How do you be more offensive than Doug Stanhope?
I got it. Progressive white male who has a fucking puppet of a dead terrorist. Oh no, wait, even that's not offensive. People fucking love it.
I think he's pretty deeply conservative.
All right, fine, conservative then. Yeah. Whatever. Point is, how do you go further than that?
You don't. You can, but I mean, it's really going to take getting into some really, tough, difficult subjects. You know what I mean? So, do you guys think that this makes Notch a sexist or misandrist?
No. No more. Well, okay, hold on. Maybe. Okay, I would say no more than I'm a sexist making jokes with you guys, my friends. But if that makes me a sexist, then I guess it does. Nika, would you describe any of us as sexist to your friends?
I can't say that on certain occasions it hasn't come across that way.
Okay, but in general, it comes across that way. But when you are in moments of deep personal contemplation, would you say, you know what, those guys are fucking sexists?
No, I wouldn't say that.
So, but I mean, like, so I think that Notch may be a sexist for his views on mansplaining, maybe a little bit misogynistic there. But not for his use of the word cunt.
I can agree with that.
I think that definitely the position on on mansplaining, because I think most people are ambivalent to it, because they're just like, yeah, of course it's a thing. Of course it's a thing. Nobody, like, why would you say it's not a thing? But then again, he's not making the point that it's not a thing. He's just making the point that the term is inherently gendered.
Also does
coming from the camp of feminists who are supposed to be for equal rights for all genders, that seems like a bit hypocritical. And I think I understand his point there. Like, if that's his point, I totally understand it. If he's saying, oh, well, mansplaining isn't a thing and that's bullshit, I would definitely not agree with that. But I don't think that's what he was saying with his original tweet.
I don't think so either. I think he's just trying to make a point. A very, very overblown
very badly
and
worded
exaggerated compared to what it started out as, but a point nonetheless.
Yeah.
Because I don't know, man. If he, that's why it's hard to tell with Twitter. Like, it's limited to 140 characters.
Fucking
like
tweets.
It's hard to say exactly what he was trying to say. But I feel like that there's. I don't know. I feel like you've already went way into more detail than I think he even thought about before he posted this.
Yeah,
like when he posted that, he probably just posted
to use offensive imagery and outrageous stereotypes to provoke someone to open their eyes.
Wow,
but like
right on the nose.
But if the people that do mansplain, you have to. I don't think that you can use that as the saying that, oh, you clearly don't want people to equal because you're using a term mansplaining, which is degrading. Not necessarily, because before we can be equal, we have to find the issues that are causing us not to be equal and identify them and fix them, mansplaining being one of them.
I totally agree. And I'm not saying that feminists who have been talking about the idea of mansplaining are inherently sexist either. Just like I don't think Notch is inherently sexist for his use of the word cunt. I think that, it is a real problem. Mansplaining actually exists, and we've all seen evidence of that. But, if you're going to be a movement that says, well, we want complete equality all the time,
let's just use the general neutral term asshole.
Everyone has one.
Exactly. That's my new thing. If you're fucking doing something like that, you're an asshole. It's nothing to do with being a man or a woman.
No, that's true, because you're right. Even the word dick is very gender pointed, so asshole is very
excuse me, I fought in the war and my ass was blown off by an RPG, so I find that very offensive.
You're a former asshole.
I have to shit through my penis.
With that old shit dick over there. The stories that I could tell about old shit dick. Oh my God, that's horrible. Dear God. Predictably, also, men's rights activists and gamer gators of all stripes latched right onto this and was like, "Oh, Notch is all for our cause," which I mean, that may or may not be true.
It's hard to say because men's rights. What?
Okay.
Look, I'm sorry. I can't think of that and think of it seriously.
Let me just offensive that Chris believes that he fought in a war.
Look. Let me just.
War.
I'm gonna say something here, and I'm gonna
about to get offensive in here.
I'm gonna piss off everyone who's not already pissed off by this conversation. Okay.
Greatest conversation ever.
I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna say, I'm sure that with the whole lead up to this, everyone thinks, well, Nate, you're just as much of a sexist as Notch is. I'm not bothered by the term mansplaining in the same way that I'm not bothered by the existence of Anita Sarkeesian. She does not bother me. Guys,
she bothers me.
She does not bother me. I do not get offended at Anita Sarkeesian, nor do I think that she's the worst thing for gaming. I actually kind of like her. I actually think that she brings up some pretty good goddamn points. And watch, I guarantee.
When are we getting to the offensive bit?
You say that to gamers and then they lose their fucking minds.
You mean you say that to assholes and they lose their fucking minds?
That's like saying, Jack Thompson had some pretty good points. At this point, it's like going, Hitler had some okay ideas. Like you say, Anita Sarkeesian's not that bad in a room full of gamers, and it'll just suck the air right out of the goddamn room.
Yeah, because all of the things that you're saying, the reason that they're offensive is because of hindsight. Right? Because in order for Hitler to get to where he was, guess what? Some people had to have thought he had some pretty good ideas.
I'm not bothered by the idea of Anita or any of the videos or any of the things that she that she advocates for, because you know what? I've been involved with activism before.
I'm not bothered by her activist ways. I'm bothered by the fact that she scammed people out of their money, doesn't even care, like, or play the game she talks about, and then makes up issues that are maybe there and over-exaggerates them. That's the problem. Not that she brings the issues to light, that she's just dumb.
When it comes to activism or whatnot, personally, I think that the worst thing to come out of that was them buying up Blizzard. But, I mean, then Overwatch came out, so maybe that had something to do with that.
And I'm sure that people will start linking me articles like, oh, well, you haven't read this about her. Yeah, I stopped reading about her after I watched the video, and I was like, oh, I get what this is about. I've seen feminist critiques and breakdowns of media in the past. This is nothing new. What Anita Sarkeesian is doing for the medium of video games is nothing fucking new. There have been feminist breakdowns of literature, television, movies for fucking years. Okay? And some of the things that she says are kind of valid. Some of the things that she says are total bullshit, and she's clearly pushing an agenda, and that's fine. I'm okay with that.
She's allowed to do it, but she has to know that most people are not going to agree because she's dumb.
That's fine. No one has to agree.
No,
just like no one has to agree with me on this show. No one has to agree with me on this show to enjoy it. I'm sure that there are a lot of people disagreeing with me right now.
No one has to enjoy this show while we're at it.
Yeah. No, but the thing is that, you know, like one of your points, Nikki, you said she scammed people out of money. I don't think that that's true.
She used her Kickstarter for certain funds. I had the links before, and she didn't use the money for anything she said she used it for, and then she had all these other sponsors, and the money just
this is all fucking hearsay links. People could pick through our the way that we spend our Patreon money and say the same bullshit.
We're very upfront with the way we use our money, though. Like,
absolutely. Absolutely, but what's that to stop somebody from recontextualizing those facts and making them look bad?
Yep.
Mm-hmm. You know, like that. I feel like that happened a lot surrounding this woman. And
it was basically when the campaign first started, though. Like, what it sounded like is not what it actually was when it went into production. Like, everything she advertised was very different.
And that's the thing that, dude, when you sign up for Kickstarter and you give money to Kickstarter, that's what happens. You get what you get. And that's the relationship that you get out of Kickstarter.
As you didn't give to my Kickstarter, man, and that really bummed me out.
But the thing is,
actual quote from Sarkeesian.
Here's the thing: is that from my understanding, that the video project was just supposed to be a feminist critique of video games. Not that she was some kind of expert, not that she had any kind of context, but that this was just going to be a strict critique of that, and that's what it was. And I don't think that that's a scam. That's not a scam. That's doing what you said you were going to do. And the fact that people didn't like it, I think, was the big backlash. Is that, like, people just didn't like what she had to say and got very offended. And so Kotaku in Action was born. It's fucking ridiculous. The whole thing is ridiculous. And you know what? I don't. If you are bothered by the fact that I don't mind Anita Sarkeesian, go fuck yourself. I don't give a fuck.
You're such a misandrist.
I know, right?
Wait.
I think the word you're looking for is evangelist, because he likes Evangelion. Evangelion? Evangelianism? You're a weeaboo.
Evangelion.
But I mean, I just all of this talk about gender, about race in video games as a medium is a necessary conversation. It's an
absolutely is. Absolutely.
It's an absolutely necessary conversation, and I'm glad for, if nothing else, that there are catalysts out there willing to put their reputation on the line to force the conversation forward. Because, again, just like the mansplaining thing, I sat around for 10 fucking years watching video games be developed and watching the characters that were associated with it and the themes that were associated with video games, and knowing that this was all inherently geared towards me, a white man. And you can't, if you realize that, it's hard, for me at least, to hold Feminist Frequency or anyone else accountable for wanting to look at that and go, well, isn't there something fucked up with that? Like, if I was able to self-identify that, if I was able to self-diagnose that problem with the video game industry back in the days of fucking Nintendo Power and what was the Game Informer? Why? I'm almost surprised that the reaction to this was what it was, because this is a conversation that's needed to happen for a long fucking time. So the vitriol that came out after the whole Gamergate thing went down just astounded me, and it still sort of astounds me.
Yeah, that it ended up where it ended up.
Yeah,
blows my mind.
I've got no dog in that fight, and I know that there are a lot of really passionate people about that subject. And if you want to write me a big email, I'll read it. finalencountercast@gmail.com. But I'm not really going to care. And if you want to send me a whole bunch of blog posts that outline Anita Sarkeesian as the devil, you can just save it. I'm not going to read it. Because you didn't write it. No, at some point, things like that hit a critical mass, and you just can't tell truth from fiction anymore.
No, that's true. That's absolutely true.
And there's no way to unravel it. There's no YouTube video that you can send to me. There's no link that you can send to me to convince me otherwise. She's just not that bad.
I don't know. It sounds like you're sticking your head in the ground, Nate. You're just kind of turning your ears and going like, no.
You know what? This has gotten much worse because now Nika in chat has used the term dicksplaining.
Dicksplaining.
Yep. And I'm telling you right now, if confusing is a thing, dicksplain fits with the pun way much more than mansplain does. So if you can use cuntsplain, I think dicksplain should also be used.
That's not valid. No, that's fair. Just mansplaining came around first.
No, I know. I'm just saying it's I wouldn't even say it's equally as degrading, but at least it's more degrading. And if we can be degrading to women, we can be degrading to men. That's equality.
You know, that's fine.
Why
and
would
actually,
you call it cocksplaining?
what I like too is when you get like celebrities who don't call for like instead of their idea of equal treatment. And this is what I love: isn't that we should stop treating women the way we do, but start treating men the same way we treat women.
Right? Yeah.
Like the chick who plays Daenerys in Game of Thrones is like, we need more dicks in that show.
Fair enough. That's fair.
I don't think we need that.
Well, here's my thing, right?
You like dicks, I know.
It's what?
First of all, we're all a little bit gay, okay?
First of all, if you can't handle the sight of a penis on a screen, then
I can't handle the sight of a flaccid penis, okay?
I need
if
my
it's like
dicks
nice
hard.
and hard and throbbing, that's fine. But when I see a flaccid one, I just think gross.
Well, yeah, but I mean, like, what? Why is it weird?
If it's like nice and firm and at full mast, I can appreciate that penis.
It is. Look, it is only.
I'm like, that's a fine looking penis.
It is only. It is only weird if your parents are in the room, and then it's weird no matter what the genital is. You know.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
That's the only time that. Why? If you're alone and you're watching a fucking TV show and a penis comes on screen and you get really uncomfortable.
Not uncomfortable.
That's on you.
Not uncomfortable. Like, oh, I wish they wouldn't have shown that. But just like, oh, come on, I didn't need that. But again, if it's nice and hard, it's like, that's a pretty good penis.
Or cock.
Right, more cock.
So that's our obvious way to say that Game of Thrones is tonight at 9.
So we gotta go, fuckers.
Everyone is super excited about Game of Thrones.
And their penises.
Man, last episode was brutal. Ooh.
My favorite new meme because of that I actually created. You know how you'll get those memes where it'll show like some happy couple and it'll be like, when he hugs you, right? And then like, right? Or no. One of the best one was from Jessica Jones, when he makes you smile, and then it showed the Purple Man, because there's a character in there who talks about how he made her smile for so long it hurt, right?
Yeah.
So I made one when he holds the door for you.
I saw that. That was sad.
So good.
Oh man. So yeah. Just to kind of put an end cap on this conversation, though. Again, Nika, can you just real quick? I'm a little confused. Can you go back and explain?
Hey, excuse you.
Can you dick-splain the difference between dick-splaining and mansplaining? Because I think I've
and cocksplaining.
Yeah.
Oh well, wait. No, that's That's a very good point. Maybe they should be used
and cocks hard.
Maybe they should be used for different levels of it. Like if you're at, like if you mansplain something and you don't realize you're being offensive, that's mansplaining, right?
Yeah, okay,
But
okay,
if you are actually being a dick about it and you know what you're doing,
dick-splaining.
Now you're dick-splaining.
I like it. That's canon.
I agree with this. I am fine with that.
I agree with that too.
Okay, if that's the case, then cunt fusion is totally valid.
Okay, as long as there's a less degrading term that we can use if it's the accidental version.
Can we come up with it? Like I'm not sure what other.
Because like Kooky said, bitch splaining, but that's just as bad.
No.
Well, I mean, but it's got to be like confusion, you know, like
Okay,
some play on it. Pussy fusion doesn't sound right.
No, that's weird. That's very
But
weird.
pussy is also degrading. Like
Clit
man is the
fusion?
word man.
Clit fusion.
Clit fusion.
But like woman and female both have more syllables, so it's really hard to come up with a pun.
Yeah. That.
Come on, chat. This is your
Okay,
chance to get
chat,
mentioned on the
if
show.
you think of
See now,
no,
look.
see, pussy is degrading too. It has to be something that's for like the accidental woman splaining that you don't realize you're doing it.
Nika, now you have put yourself in Notch's shoes. See, this is not so easy to come up with a very clever pun.
So he just picks the most offensive word because
Of course, why not?
Because it fit.
Because it's the best one. Because that works so well.
Because he thought it up and thought this is too fucking stupid not to say.
Yes! I have that idea all the time. All
Clit
the time.
fusion X.
Thor cervix splaining. I like that.
I think the lesser version's called being a woman.
Get the fuck out.
I love you, Nika.
Oh, all right. Let's real quick read one email before we get out.